Alright, so this is the sympathetic division versus the parasympathetic division. We'll go over this diagram in a second, just to get our orientation. So we have the nervous system, which breaks down into two areas, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. It's broken down into two other areas, which is called, for example, the voluntary side, which is the voluntary muscle, skeletal muscle. That one specifically is called the somatic motor pathway. The peripheral nervous system also breaks down into the involuntary muscles, which is the cardiac and smooth muscle, and it's specifically called the autonomic motor pathway. Okay, so I slash these areas because we're not going to focus on these areas when we speak about sympathetic division versus the parasympathetic division. So the involuntary muscles, again, the cardiac or smooth muscle that we have in our bodies, is the autonomic motor pathway. And it breaks down into the sympathetic division, which is the flight or fight, or the parasympathetic, which is the rest or digest. Okay, let's further get more our orientation. This is the spinal cord. When I speak about the sympathetic division on the next diagram, know that the first neuron is this one here. The cell bodies are located here at the lateral gray horn. The second, and then the axon terminal is located at the sympathetic chain. I'll go into detail in a second, just getting some details out of the way. The second neuron is this one here in green. Its cell body is located here in the sympathetic chain, and its axon terminal usually is here in this area near the effector. So three areas when I talk about the sympathetic chain, there's the first neuron that secretes acetylcholine. The second neuron secretes norepinephrine, and then the third part is that there's an effector. So those are the three things you're going to think about when I talk about sympathetic division. When I speak about the parasympathetic division, know that the first neuron secretes acetylcholine, the second neuron secretes again acetylcholine, and the third part is that there's an effector. So keep in mind, actually with this diagram here, we have the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic again. So just want to get this here. We have the first neuron. Let's just get this area here first, and then we'll go into detail. So the first neuron, it secretes acetylcholine, which is received by the second neuron. It then secretes norepinephrine, and then it is received by the effector. The first neuron is called the short preganglionic neuron, and it secretes the acetylcholine. The second neuron, which is called the long post-ganglionic neuron, so just excuse that typo. It secretes norepinephrine, and then the third part is that the norepinephrine is received by the effector. Okay, now let's go into a little more detail. The first neuron is named short preganglionic neuron. Again, this is only in the sympathetic division. The first neuron is called the short preganglionic neuron. It's located in the lateral gray horn. It secretes acetylcholine. The second neuron is called the long post-ganglionic neuron, and it's located in the sympathetic chain. The method that the second neuron receives this communication, the acetylcholine, it receives it through some receptors called the nicotinic cholinergic receptors. And then so the second neuron then secretes norepinephrine. The third part is that the effector receives the norepinephrine, but it needs a receptors for that communication to occur, and it's called adrenergic receptors. Okay, just to review, the first neuron is called short preganglionic neuron. It's located in the lateral gray horn. It secretes acetylcholine. The second neuron, it's called long post-ganglionic neuron. It's located in the sympathetic chain. The method that it receives the communication is at its cell body, and it receives the communication, the acetylcholine, via the nicotinic cholinergic receptors. It then secretes norepinephrine. The third part is that the norepinephrine is received at the effector via some receptors called the adrenergic receptors, and it's located at the effector. For the post-sympathetic division, we have the first neuron. It is called the long preganglionic neuron. It is located in the lateral gray horn. It secretes acetylcholine. The second neuron is called the short post-ganglionic neuron. It is located in the terminal ganglia, and the communication or the acetylcholine is received at the cell body, which is right here. And in order for communication to occur, we need receptors. So the second neuron has receptors and it's called the nicotinic cholinergic receptor. Then it secretes acetylcholine. So similar, these are similar, so know those are the same. The third part is that the effector receives this communication or the chemical acetylcholine through some receptors, right? And this one is called the muscarinic cholinergic receptor, and it's located at the effectors. All right. This is sympathetic versus parasympathetic. And just some more information here. Go ahead and pause the video if you need more information together. All right.